time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by
PSE Archery, Yamaha Outboards, Better the Hunt, Easy Cut, Packer Max, Deer Camp Coffee, Buck Baits, JPO Game Calls, Limwalker Game Calls, Wild Seasoning, Total Peep, Sunrise Archery, Scent Lock, and Scent Blocker.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal. Today, host Mike Adams sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan DeFaw at the last part of February here. The year's cranking by.
It is cranking by, and
gosh,
and I tell you what, it's been a quick month, and I tell you what, we're getting into that Michigan time frame where weather can change at a moment's notice. And
yeah, it was 50 30 days ago,
right?
Now it's like 5.
I was up north on the shores of Lake Michigan, and one day it was 17, and we thought we were going to go ice fishing the next day, and it was 42 the next day, and all the ice blew out.
That's why you don't go on the big water, man.
Well, no, you can go on the big water if it stays cold.
I don't trust it, man.
Oh,
I don't trust it. Well, let's get into the show tonight. Let's take care of our people who take care of us.
Absolutely. I was there on Wednesday. I brought you your Irish coffee.
I left it in the kitchen.
I know you did. But I was down at the brick and mortar store of Deer Camp, where they have buck baits as well. And, if you go over to the site, buckbaits.com, you can use our promo code UNJ20. You'll get 20% off your order. Go check what they got for what they have for the upcoming turkey season and everything. Check them out. Speaking of game calls, jpogamecalls.com. If you use our promo code UNJ10, you can get 10% off your order with Paul and Amy over there, and check out their turkey calls and obviously their coyote calls.
Mm-hmm.
And welcome to the family, the Island Armory. I tell you what, you got to go to their website because it's always changing. You can go over there and look for ammo, gun parts, guns. And if you go over and you order off the website, theislandarmory.com, use the promo code UNJ10, you'll get 10% off.
I've got to go visit the store. I've yet to be in the store. I got to go check it.
Right, you do. I tell you what, like I said, we are drinking Michigan Cherry, correct?
That's right.
Absolutely.
Freshly ground.
Freshly ground Michigan Cherry. They've also got a blueberry, the cherry we're drinking, and then for March, they've got an Irish coffee type.
I can't wait to brew that this week.
You're gonna love it. I love it. And if you go to the website, deercampcoffee.com, use the promo code UNJ10, you'll get 10% off your order there. But don't forget, when you're at the website, please help us by ordering a bag of Up North Journal medium brewed coffee. I tell you what, you go there and then you can see what they got, and you can pick up a bag of our coffee. And we would not be amiss if we did not go way up to Newberry at 123 FM, where is it a balmy 15 degrees, and you know what? I think they have more snow this week than they did last week because I can see a trench.
Hey, there's a car.
There's a car going through. But I tell you what, if you're up in Newberry, go over to Cedars, get a pizza, and they're serving Deer Camp coffee there as well. So get over there, get a pizza, and enjoy.
Big shout out to FM 123 for carrying the show. We say it every week. Hey, there's no cars on the street. Or hey, there's one.
We just see 3
up there. I tell you what, you're lucky to see a car. Oh, man, that's good stuff. All right, well, let's just jump right into the show tonight. We've got one of our podcasting friends that we've known for a little while now, Miss Carrie Z from Hunt Fish Travel. What is going on, Carrie?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Doing good.
It seems like it's been forever.
It has.
I feel like I talk to you guys every year after SHOT Show or ATA.
Right.
Well, that's true. If we're doing ATA, and you're there and we're there, we usually do a flyby with each other and say hi, and are you going to be somewhere for the evening or something like that? But the last couple of years, we haven't been able to do it. It kind of stinks.
I know. I feel like I miss all my friends.
You know what?
That's I get to see once a year.
This year with the couple public shows that I've been to, I think that's like the number one thing with the people that attend the show that are working it or whatever, is they're missing the other booths people that they know
in the industry.
Yeah.
And then for
sure.
And then for the people that are coming to a public show, it is like they've been released and they are just loving it and enjoying it. Like I said, a couple weeks back, I was at the camper show here in town, and it was wall-to-wall people, and you could just see the smiles on their face of people getting out.
Yes, agreed.
So you recently took a trip this year. Instead of going to ATA, you went to Shot out in Vegas. What was the mood like when you got out there?
Fabulous. It was really that, like, the elbow rubbing. Everybody was excited to be there. Everybody was excited for new products, just to get to one of these bigger outdoor shows, especially these dealer shows, because they weren't last year. Mm-hmm. So, and it's funny because if you watched the social media posts before the show, everybody was so poo-pooing it. You had all these people who were like, oh, nobody's going to go because all these big manufacturers are pulling out. But it was like 5. I mean, it wasn't even that many. And I did not see a downtick in anything. So it was a fun show. It was at a new location. They had it split between the Venetian and Caesars. And so it was bigger, where in the past it was like 12 miles. And this year was 14 miles of walking. So
14 miles of walking.
Yeah, it was huge. Wow. Just huge.
That's incredible.
I know.
Danny and I, we've talked about going. We've yet to go. One of these days.
You've never been ever?
Never. I've never been to Vegas, let alone Shot Show. No, never been. Something that we've talked about, just never made it. And we didn't get to go to ATA this year just because of everything that was going on with the pandemic.
Right.
So
how was the first of all? You were right. You leave Wisconsin, a balmy something.
0 degrees, yeah.
And you arrive in Las Vegas, which was a nice, comfortable
65 or so.
Okay,
yeah.
So you're off to a good start. And then you get to walk 14 miles of a show. And like you said, there was I remember seeing a couple posts about like SIG pulling out and stuff like that, but it doesn't sound like it really affected that show as much as people thought.
Look, you have 2,400 exhibitors, 2,400 exhibitors. Even if 100 of them pull out, you still have, several thousand exhibitors to talk to. Yeah, it's not really, I don't know. And maybe it's the archery snob in me, but there are so many gun manufacturers showcasing new products and just willing to talk to you that, while unfortunate that some of my favorite ones weren't there, it wasn't like the end. It wasn't the end of the world.
It wasn't the end of the show, and the show kept going. Right. But now,
exactly.
What people don't realize is the difference between a SHOT Show and like the ATA we always talk about is just the number of exhibitors in general. So you go back to the SHOT Show out in Vegas, and like you said, you had 2,400 people booths to visit. And were you disappointed or not disappointed?
I wasn't. I really, really liked the new layout. Everything was spread out a little more. It wasn't so cramped. I don't know. Everybody was just in such a good mood. Everybody wanted to talk to you. The new product showcases were really interesting. And there was just as many people there as in the past. I went there in 2016. And when I looked at the numbers, the attendees were right in that same range where, like, for example, 2020, right before the pandemic, was SHOT Show, and there were 60,000 attendees. This year, there was 55,000. So, I mean, and that could have been just, and some of these manufacturers weren't attending because they just needed the people, in the factories creating the product. Because they were recovering from low sales during the pandemic and product shortages. And so,
well, that's the other part of it is like some of these people that go to these shows, they also got to work back at the factory. So if their factory's short, they might not be too happy that they're going to lose somebody that needs to be doing a job that they really need. So I totally get it.
Agreed. Yeah. So I did miss the small scale of ATA. I was there for 2 days. I wish I would have had 3 or 4 to get through everything. You're just exhausted by, hour 6. You're just exhausted, and you're not even getting any valuable content because you're just so tired. So it would have been nice to be able to break it up into quarters.
Well, talk about this. It's interesting you bring up getting content. I mean, obviously, we work the shows to talk with these people and bring new product to our listeners and viewers. How is it going about getting content? I mean, I know sometimes at ATA, you kind of watch your P's and Q's. What was it like out there at SHOT?
everybody wants to talk to you at Shot. Everybody and their brothers and everybody wants to talk to you. Here, pet my dog so I can talk to you. Literally. Like, for real. Because there's so many, there's just the bow hunting and archery world compared to the gun world. It's apples to oranges. It's just worlds apart. And there's so many gun part manufacturers. There must have been, I mean, there were 5 or 6 companies there that literally would sell you $3 million worth of equipment so you could start your own ammunition company in your backyard. Which, I mean, I'd really love to do, by the way. Let's be clear. I was fascinated by these
There's something
machines.
about loading ammo that's just,
Oh my God, it was so
therapeutic.
neat. Yeah.
Well, that's it, right? You just you look at the advantages when you go to the show like that, and people want to talk and want to discuss whatever they got. You know, widget A. Hey, I'll check this out. I want to talk to you.
Yeah, even the bigger companies, they drop everything. Let's talk. Do you want to do an interview? Sure, we've got our media guy here, 5 minutes or whatever. It was really cool.
It's good to see them with open arms,
Yeah. And that being the redheaded stepchild, the press room. And, there wasn't any areas that press wasn't allowed to go in.
Right?
Wow.
You could go eat where everybody else could go eat?
Yeah, you sure. And they wanted you to. Their press room was just incredible. I mean, HEA does a really, really good press room too, but SHOT Show, I mean, they just have more dollars.
They got it going on.
More.
Well, so you were there for 2 days, and a question coming out is, what was your favorite booth or vendor?
Mantis, hands down. Are you familiar with them?
No.
Because I was not. And I probably spent more time at the Mantis Technologies. I forget what their total name is. But so my dad had given me a handgun, I don't know, 10 years or something. And I went to the gun range and I shot it a couple times and I missed and I didn't know what I was doing. There were all these people around me and I was like, this is way too intimidating. I'm just going to go shoot my arrows. And I literally never picked it up again. So they have these devices that go right on your handgun, and it will record your hand movements, your accuracy, and it just gathers all this data that I didn't even know you could even gather, and tells you what you need to improve your shot. They have it for the AR, shotgun, they have it for bow and arrow, and for handguns. And I mean, and they're really reasonably priced too. Couple of like $150 or something like that. It was not a lot for the amount of accuracy. So you can literally put it on your handgun, you run around your house and shoot targets left and right. You're not wasting ammo. You're not having to go to the range. You can work on just your stance.
So you're doing dry fire?
Crazy. Yes.
Okay.
It was incredible.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I should have clarified that in the beginning.
Hey, why is there a hole in the wall?
I know. Yeah. Carrie, you're going through a lot of ammo, and we're going to have to call a drywaller. No. Yeah, it's all electronic based, and there's an app right on your phone. It was really cool.
That's awesome. Danny's actually got the website up right now. We're looking he's got the page
so MantisX.com improves your shooting accuracy. You attach the Mantis X to your firearm, and through app guided coaching, you improve your shot.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's funny because you had like people who were going up there and they're like, I've been shooting for 20 years. I'm fine. Watch this. And then you see the data and it's like all squiggly lines, like where they thought they were being really steady. It was interesting. Like, it was really interesting.
It's like, oh, yeah, you're rock solid. Sure you are.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're looking at the prices here, $99 to $250.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
They're really reasonably priced.
And you can do a both live and dry fire training. So you can practice in your house and then take what you learned and see if you can match that out in the field.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. And like I said, it wasn't really anything. I mean, I think I've heard of them before, but they just weren't on my radar because I just never do anything with my handgun because I feel like it's broken. It must be broken.
Right.
It's not broken. It's me. But let's be clear.
But like you said, they got one for your handgun, your rifle, even your shotgun, and archery. Yes. They got it out there.
Does that device work on multiple platforms, or are they specific to each style of firearm?
They're specific to each one.
Okay.
So you'd have to buy like 4 of them if you wanted to do all 4.
Okay, all right.
But even still, a couple hundred. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I can go through $100 in ammo pretty quickly.
No kidding. And if you want to save some ammunition and get that practice in, that'd be the perfect way of doing it. Wow.
Definitely.
Now, I don't know how much you know about these systems, but let's say I've got 3 different pistols, semi-automatics that I want to use. Does that system work on all semi-autos, or do you have to buy one specific to the model?
I'm not totally sure. I know they have one that goes specifically for the AR.
Okay.
I honestly, I'm not sure
Okay.
off the top of my head.
Oh.
I would assume so, but I don't. But nobody mentioned like bolt action rifles or anything. But
Okay.
I don't know. That'd be interesting to find out though too, because my hunting rifle is much different than my SKS that I use to mess around with.
Yep, absolutely.
Right, and you can go to the website and check them out and go pick
Yeah.
on them and see which one is for you. And then depending on which one you get, it depends. There's a chart here at the bottom. It says if you want dry fire, live fire, if you want your handgun,
Right.
if you're a rifle. But I tell you what, for $250, I think you could probably save a lot of ammo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that was your coolest booth that you went to.
It really was. It was the one that really stood out. The gal that I talked to was very knowledgeable. She was interesting. She didn't just assume that I was just the wife along. They had really good customer service, and they really impressed me. I want to have them on the show. I want to talk on the Hunt Fish Travel podcast and talk to them about a few things, and I'm pretty excited to do some interviews with them.
Okay, you brought up something, and I want to ask you this question, but I want to do it when we come back out of break. So,
Okay.
we'll take our first break here and pay a few bills. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible.
By basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Second segment of the show. And right before we went to the break, you had mentioned they treated you really well in the booth and interacted with you instead of like the wife that was along. And I know this has been a pet peeve of yours for years, mine as well, as the way some people treat a certain person in a booth. They ignore them or whatever, whether it be a young person, whether it be a female or something else. How was that overall with the show? Did you get received well in the booth and people actually engage and talk with you?
My experiences with ATA has always been pretty poor, I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I let it roll off my back. I don't take it personally. Shot Show always has been a little different because, and I wonder if it's just, I don't know, I wonder, not that I'm a gun buddy, but, there's more women who are involved in
Absolutely.
guns
Mm-hmm.
and promotions and stuff like that, where, let's be clear, it doesn't matter if it's archery or guns. If I walk up to a booth with a male, they will talk to the male first, period. 99.99% of the time, which is really amusing because my ex-husband, my current boyfriend, not really that much into hunting, so they're always like, why are you talking to me? You're talking to her. But
Right?
they just don't. They
Right.
don't. 9 times out of 10, they assume that I'm just there to hold the bag,
Right.
I could be really crazy about it and let it bother me a lot. I don't care. Whatever. That's fine. I'll sit back and make my little notes and stuff. And then when you find out I'm actually the one you want to talk to, then now I hold all the cards because now you feel stupid.
Exactly.
So
I think it's the mentality of the situation at hand when you're in Las Vegas or you're at the ATA. I think they're missing the point at the ATA. But
100%. There was more. If we were walking separately, if I went to a booth by myself, and sometimes, I shouldn't say all the time either, because at SHOT Show, it is different, where they have just as much inclination to talk to me and explain their products as they do to men, where I rarely find that at ATA. I just don't. Even when I'm there by myself, they tend to ignore me, whatever. But, I mean, that could just be a shift in, I haven't been to the SHOT Show since 2016. I haven't been to ATA in the last couple of years. So it could be totally different. I don't know. It is what it is.
exactly.
And I could let it bother me. I could let it drive me crazy. I don't care that much.
Right. So
You know.
you can't let it bother you, or else you might as well it'll eat you alive, right?
I'm glad to hear that it's better there.
Right.
It was. They were more inclined to explain the products. And maybe because in the gun industry, there's just as many female buyers as there are male buyers. You got to assume that everybody there has $500,000 to spend in their pocket.
Right.
So.
Well, it's like something that my dad told me years ago. I was a little kid, and that's back when he was doing some stock trading, and it was here locally in the area. They had a brokerage firm, And you'd walk in, and it was like this big, almost like a bank. The stock ticker was rolling, all that. And he said, don't look at somebody in here as if they're poor. He said, you might see somebody here with holes in their shoe, raggedy old clothes. And he said, they're multimillionaires. I mean, I was a little kid, but it taught me a lesson. Don't ever judge the book by the cover, because you never know what's inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you go from that point, and then, like you said, talking to the media is actually getting word out about what you're trying to sell. So
exactly,
kind of
it is. And I really do feel like the gun industry is miles ahead of the bow hunting and archery industry. Mm-hmm. Miles ahead. They embrace new media much more, and they embrace females a lot more. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, we could debate that all day long too. Depending,
So what's your number one takeaway from the entire SHOT Show?
My number one takeaway is that pandemic be damned, we are alive and well, and everybody is there, and they're trying to sell product. And people are out there buying it like crazy too.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So another question, and I like this one. Do they have good food there
at SHOT Show?
Yeah.
Like the vendors? Yeah. Actually, but again, very similar to ATA, where you have like those, I don't know, the pop-up vendors or whatever.
Right.
Got the little
very,
booth in
very,
the corner.
very, very good food. Yeah, very good food.
Plus,
the press room was phenomenal. I can't even believe how good their spread in the morning was amazing.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
You know, like Tammy said, historically it's predominantly a man's world, but we're all stepping into it, so let's just go and all enjoy it.
Well, we've all seen it, and we've talked about it for years. The fastest growing segment of the outdoor industry, and even the gun industry now, is the female side of it. I mean, you guys are buying guns. You're learning how to shoot, learning how to hunt. And I shouldn't say learning. I mean, you're out there with us. And I think it's cool. I really do.
I mean, let's be realistically. I am not the normal woman. Most of your listeners, the females who listen, probably aren't. Most women won't go out without somebody because, A, we're social creatures. We have been taught from an early age to have less confidence in our abilities out in the woods than men. Mm-hmm. That is the number one thing I hear from people who listen to my podcast. They're like, I wish I could just have the courage to go out to South Dakota by myself for a week or whatever. And I'm like, you can. They're like, I just don't. Yeah. I'm just not comfortable with it. Women have additional safety issues that we have to worry about that guys just don't have. I mean, a single girl out in the middle of nowhere, nobody can hear you scream. Right. These are things that we have to think about that men don't think about. And while I do feel that we are a fast growing segment, we're still only at like 1.7% of the segment. I mean, or 17, or it's really low.
Right.
And I do feel that the advent of social media brings a lot of these you can do it too kind of inspirational stories and people out there, and letting you know sometimes you just learn by watching somebody else that, oh, well, she can do it, maybe I can too.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And pretty much everybody is willing to teach somebody else something if they're willing to listen. Just ask.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, as we're taking you from the SHOT Show, we know you're going to do some ice fishing, but we got to stop in one little spot. We kind of got to tell people, because there's a couple of questions that kind of ask, what's Carrie Z's story, and how long have you been doing podcasting?
Oh, God.
Come on, Mark. You haven't been following these shows?
Right?
Where you been, man?
I mean, and everybody should know by now that it's literally your fault that I even got into podcasting. It's your fault, Mike. It is yours, wholeheartedly.
I have been blamed for this for years. And I'm constantly reminded of this every time we have you on.
Your fault.
But actually, she is known as the queen of podcasting.
No, I'm not.
You are. No, you are the queen of podcasting. On my left and on my right is the Godfather podcasting. So
that's true. That's true.
Right? So
the Godfather of the outdoor podcast.
The old father. That's what it is.
Yeah, aren't we all these days? God, it's been forever since we started this madness.
That's right.
So what got you into it?
Oh, gosh. Okay, so 10, 15 years ago, however long it was, rifle hunting with my dad, got tired of just freezing my ass off out in the tree stand, decided I wanted to learn how to bow hunt. Couldn't find any really good resources at the time, had been listening to Up North Journal, messaged Mike, said, do you have any resources? He said, yeah, listen to this podcast called Bowcast. So fast forward a little bit, I ended up blogging for them, and then they went through some transitional changes, and the show really didn't do anything for quite a while. I was kind of left in the wind, and I was like, what can I do? Well, I mean, I kind of know a little bit about podcasting, so maybe I'll start my own podcast. a girl that I worked with coined the name The Wild World of Carrie Z. And I was like, that's a great show. That's a great show title. Not very SEO friendly, though, by the way. Like,
Right.
nobody is searching for that. So went through some revamping, went through the whole, like, yeah, I'm going to do the same type of educational episodes as everybody else. How to make a mock scrape, how to tune your bow, blah, 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 blah. The numbers weren't there. And I was like, really, what's my niche? Like, what's my niche? My niche, I spend way more time planning my hunting and fishing trips than I do actually hunting and fishing usually. So I combined my love of travel with the hunting and fishing. So now the show basis is more about the logistics of planning your epic fishing trip and hunting trip and preference points and where to go and what units to hunt and where to stay. And, you know, and I've really, really, really found my stride. And I think I started the show in like 2011, technically.
Okay.
So it's been a long time. But so yeah, that's
it's been
my
that long. 2011.
That's the nickel tour.
I didn't realize it.
It's actually 2000. Well, when did we meet you at the camp?
Oh, that was
2009. Right?
That was right after your first turkey hunt.
Yeah, 2009.
Yeah. That was the first time that we all kind of got together and powwowed.
Right. And
Yep.
So we all kind of, and like you said, we all kind of like know each other. So we've been best of friends for that long.
I know.
But Mark Coleman, there you go. It was because
There
of
you go.
Mike that Carrie Z got into it, and now
Literally
she's doing what she loves of hunting, fishing, and traveling.
There you go.
Yeah, I do love it.
Amongst a couple other little podcasts that you've got going as well. I mean, this isn't your only one, so.
It is not. You can just go to carriezylka.com. You'll see them all.
There you go.
Right? And I tell you what, folks, if you're listening to the show and you get onto Facebook, go over to Hunt Fish Travel Podcast on Facebook and give her a like and share her show too. And then you can go from there and see what other things, like you said, go to carriez.com, right?
It's carriezylka.com.
Okay, there you go. And then you can see her ever-expanding mind into the world of podcasting, into other genres.
Because I love it. I just can't help it. We're all, multifaceted creatures, and I love podcasting so much. It just opens up such a world.
It does. It really does. And some people it gets in trouble, like Joe Rogan.
Right? Well, you got
so bad for what that guy went through.
So
man.
after your explanation of getting into podcasting because of Mike, blaming Mike.
Yeah, I got blamed for that.
Mark Coleman says, I like her, love her passion, and that she talks with her hands. Good job.
I do, but I'm not even Italian.
Well, looking back at SHOT Show, what's the one thing that you saw or happened that you went, wow, I didn't expect that?
Probably the new layout, honestly. I mean, and that's a weird thing to be impressed with, but I just remember in years past, everything was so packed together, and it was always so hot, and you're just running, and this was much more spread out, and there was such a larger presence of the outdoor companies and manufacturers there.
Okay.
I don't remember them being as many as last year, and it might have been because they were just all crammed into the same little area, but they were able to spread out and put together the huge displays that are always so fabulous that take to put together. So the layout and the amount and the presence, the outdoor industry presence there.
I wonder
really,
if that's because
really
of
impressive.
ATA. Maybe they didn't go to ATA because I know attendance was down at
Could
ATA.
be.
And they're like, well, if we're going to put our eggs in one basket, let's
Go
go
to SHOT Show, yeah.
to SHOT where we're going to get more attention.
They might have been playing the what state has more open rules than the other state.
That's true, too. That's
Right?
true.
That could be too.
That
and also if you want more bang for your buck, and I don't know that this was a deciding factor, but media coverage at SHOT Show is 2,000 media folks, where ATA is a tenth of that.
Oh, easily.
And one of the reasons that we actually chose SHOT Show is because I wanted to bring some writers, and because they weren't a member of the Association of Great Lakes Outdoor Writers or POMA, they were going to charge me $150 a person, and I was like, I don't want to pay to work. That's crazy. I'm already spending a ton of money on travel expenses. I just refuse to pay an additional $150 per person to come and cover your show. And SHOT Show is come on in.
Well, what did we say the segment ago about missing the mark?
Yeah.
You have a product you want to get out to the people. So what do you know? It's unfortunate, but like you said, the SHOT Show sounds like they got it. Come on out. You know,
yes.
We'll
all inclusive. Yep.
Yep. Come on out. Do whatever you want. You've got 2,400 people booths to go to. Enjoy yourselves. Walk 14 miles and see. You know, it's like it just begs to say, come here.
It did. Yeah. It was really an enjoyable experience. Like I said, I wish I would have had more days.
Well, going back to things that happened there, what was it, or how did they handle, like, if you wanted to test a firearm out, was there a place you could go and shoot said firearm, or is that not allowed?
It's not allowed.
Okay.
Not like where archery or ATA has the archery ranges. There's nothing like that there. Well, at least that I saw. They have media day at the range. I don't know. I've never been invited, so I don't know what it's all about, really. But...
Come on, guys. What's the problem here? You got invited out there.
Right?
No. All joking aside, media day at the range is where the media can go and do a lot of the dry runs and test fire and shoot the guns.
So they had an off-site location where you could go?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Did you get any quality freebies at the show and not just pamphlets, flyers, or stress ball?
I won a t-shirt in a raffle, which, I mean, t-shirts are always awesome. A couple of gunslings and a ton of business cards for future podcast episodes. That, to me, was way more important. So we thought we'd be slick and do it on the cheap, and we took Spirit Airlines. Are you guys familiar with that?
Yep, we've got them here in Flint.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, like, anytime anybody offered us anything, we were like, no, because then we have to pay for a carry-on. So,
right.
But we got some really, really, really slick rifle slings and a couple of cool stuff, but they just didn't have the giveaways like you get it at ATA sometimes, but...
Right. So, that's the difference in shows too, right?
Yeah.
So
well, yeah, I mean, you got 60,000 people. They, I forget who. Oh God, I'm drawing a blanket. Who it was that had the badge holders? They made up 80,000 of them, and they were free to anybody, and they were all gone within the second day.
Wow. 80,000, they're gone.
80,000 giveaways, like.
Wow. I guess it's not one per person.
I know.
But, that's the thing, right? We're showing some of the pictures as we talk with you here. And there's a gentleman and a lady, and he's in the wheelchair. What's the story on that one?
So they were really interesting, sorry. And I actually, when I say I wish I would have had more than the 2 days, I went in and I was like, I'm going to get all these 5-minute interviews and all this stuff's going to go on. And yeah, a lot of it just didn't even happen because I just didn't have enough time to talk to everybody by the time I was so tired. But there were a couple of really, really standout booths. So, advanced shooting analytics. This guy, and so he kind of called me out, which was very interesting because he's like, what's your show about? And I told him, I said, it's about logistics and traveling and planning your hunt and fishing trip. And he's like, really? Do you have any episodes about people in wheelchairs and how they can go hunt? And I was like,
wow.
No,
I don't actually. I don't. And I never really even thought about it,
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, because he was recently in an accident that put him in the wheelchair, and he's like, I don't know, I'd love to be able to go on some of these hunts, but logistically speaking, these outfitters are like, yeah, of course you can come, and we'll handle it, but then they aren't able to, for real.
Right.
Anyway, so he created this new sniper rifle, and it's a premium sniper rifle. If you're doing long-range competitions or you're in the military, you might want to be interested in this. And it had to do with the materials that the gun was made out of and how the MOA, oh God, I'm totally drawing a blank because it was super technical. Like, he was blowing my mind. And it was the MOA, how it would shift up and down depending on the temperatures and the wind speed or something like that. Well, anyway,
it was automatic.
Yeah, it was. And he came up with this new material, and this gun doesn't shift. Like, you don't have to adjust as much when you're shooting a mile away.
Really?
It was just, I don't know, really fascinating. Doing really good work, doing everything out of his living room. He said he's got like air compressors piped into his dining room and all this stuff. But doing really, really interesting stuff. Advanced shooting analytics. So
that's awesome.
That website, check it out.
Even being put into a wheelchair, unfortunate as that was from the accident, he's still carrying on his passion for the gun and going on with that, which is awesome. And getting on your show, exactly. What happens when that situation? Here you have a couple there that anybody will take you, but are they really prepared for what they're about to take
It's
on?
just like back, a couple of years ago when we were talking with Tread Barta, and he was paralyzed from the waist down. And the logistics he had to go through just to be able to drive, get the camper to function for him, and get to where he wanted to go.
Right.
In the outdoors.
Let alone the vehicle to function for him.
Yeah. So, with Danny and I, we kind of were, exposed to that. And we've talked a lot of times about it. It's like, how do people like that really make things happen? So
For sure. And I mean, just because you have a tragedy or an accident or something happens, just because that happens doesn't mean you all of a sudden just don't hunt or fish anymore.
Right.
Well,
that's ridiculous.
Exactly. That was Tread
Barda's
figure it
thing.
Out. Yep, that was Tread Barda's thing of get off the couch because, or else he was just going to sit there, wither and die.
I mean, we got a picture of him in his trap chair in the middle of a stream fly fishing, and it's like there's nowhere that guy wouldn't go.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and this guy, I don't know. I can't remember if he told me for sure or not, but I feel like he took maybe some settlement money or like something, and he just took the tragedy and just turned it into something really positive and something with some forward momentum and really innovative. So and his wife was like into long range shooting and stuff, and he was like, it's so cool if there's a chick podcaster out there, she's gonna listen to her. It was a really positive, really interesting conversation. And I did post that little interview on the Hunt Fish Travel podcast. It's like 5 minutes, but you listen to him and you hear his passion and his excitement for what he's doing, and it's just infectious.
There you go. And so one of the questions is, did you make new friends there? Of course you did. These people that you meet and you have the little conversations with, that turns into a lot more, kind of like what happened here with you, Mike, and me and stuff like that. But another question from Mark is, did you meet any celebrities from the outdoor industry besides, obviously you met yourself being the celebrity that you are, but did you meet anybody else?
I didn't. I didn't. Now that you mention it, I don't really recall seeing hardly any celebrities at all. Like at all. Where ATA, you have all these like signing booths and honest to God, I don't even recall seeing any on the floor or even hearing about any meet and greets. Now that I think about it.
Well, that's more. It's broader than just the hunting industry, I would think. I mean, you've got the gun manufacturers, you've got different styles of shooters, you've got law enforcement, you've got the military. I mean, there's just there's so many different little groups wrapped around the firearm industry versus the bow industry. The bow industry is primarily, you got two. You got target and you got archery, or hunting. So that's...
Well, and the archery industry really relies on promotion. They rely on their celebrities to move us as an industry forward, I feel like.
Right.
Where the gun industry... and of course I'm drawing a blank at what booth it was that I was at. They were showing the story of a police officer who got shot 5 times in the chest and the torso and everything, and working with him, and they brought him on and they brought him out and they told his story. So while not exactly a celebrity, there were a lot of those kind of stories where, because of this, now I work with this company to make it safer for our Leos and for our military and stuff like that. So those kind of stories and those kind of folks, I think, are more prevalent than the T-Star.
Yeah. Well, the real life stories,
Purple Heart recipients, and
somebody who's done something, went above and beyond, or maybe who was injured because of a shooting or something like you said, and they survived it. And now they're making a difference out in the world.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Well, and plus, it doesn't mind that sometimes your number one salesperson is the highest we have.
Right.
There is that.
There's that. Because, the difference between the gun and the archery is like, hey, the guy.
Yes.
And he's threatening to do things, and everybody's like, well, I'm going to grab every one I can find.
Yeah. Well, and we're starting to hear that again around here, even. And that's kind of I think the difference between the two is one's a closed show and one's a public one too. So, but like you said,
that's true. But do you know what? Was Shot Show always public? I feel like it wasn't always.
No, it was closed for several years.
Right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And then this year, I was like, wait, you can buy tickets to get in here, like as the public? And they were like, yeah, it's like a couple $100 or something like that. And I was like, when did they start doing that? But
right. Well, I tell you what, we're running a little bit long here. Let's take our next break.
We'll talk about ice fishing.
We're going to switch gears a little bit and go from Vegas to the snow.
Awesome.
So go get your hot chocolate and get your coats, and we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Third segment. We've been out west. We got warmed up. We've played with some firearms. Now we're going to head back, drill some holes in ice, and freeze our tails off.
Right, and you know, obviously you being out there, Carrie, the question is, did you sign and give out any autographs or selfies of yourself? Because Mark Coleman would like to get a picture with you if he could. What if he ever meets you?
I would love that. I would love that so much.
So there you go, Mark. When we all meet up sometime, we'll make sure to make those selfies happen. But you know, you had to come back from Vegas. You had to face reality. It's still wintertime. But you decided you wanted to go out on ice fishing.
Yes. And because Carrie can never do anything normal.
You went big.
Yes, I tried.
And you just didn't stick to one state.
No.
So tell us about this whirlwind tour.
So I decided, so I joined, I don't know, a Facebook fishing group. I think it was like Ice Fishing Fanatics or something like that. And I kept seeing Webster, South Dakota pop up. Webster, South Dakota. Big perch in Webster, South Dakota. And I was like, oh, well, that sounds like a great place to go to ice fish then. And then I was like, well, I'm pretty close to Devil's Lake, North Dakota, which is on my bucket list. And then I'm like, oh, and then I'm only a couple of hours from Lake in the Woods, Minnesota. And that's like number one on my ice fishing bucket list. I'm like, I wonder if I could go all three. I'm pretty sure I can. Let me see if I can do this. Oh my God, what was I thinking? So so I take Wednesday. Okay, so North Dakota ended up being a bust. I wasn't able to fit North Dakota in. I feel like I'm only there for 6 or 8 hours. Let's go with a guide. I don't have a lot of time. North Dakota fishing guides were a total bust. They were either, oh, it's only one person? Well, I'll have to charge you double. Or we just can't take you out. No, we just have no room. Whatever. Okay, fine. So I was like, okay, I'll do South Dakota, Minnesota, and then fish northern Wisconsin. So Wednesday, I drive the 11 hours. It ended up being to Webster, South Dakota. Grabbed a hotel room, up at 5 a.m., met at Sportsman's Warehouse with Sattler Guide Service. And I'm thinking, I'm like, all right, this is cool. We're there. It was like 5:30. And I'm sure we're fishing right now around here. No, like 45-minute drive later, we pull, and we're like in no man's land. And I'm like, is this where he dumps the bodies? Where are we? Literally, like, there's nothing but windmills and no cell service. And I'm like, okay. So then we pull onto this road and it says road closed. And I'm like, whoa, okay. This is apparently where he dumps the bodies. So there's another truck behind me with 3 guys in it and me and the guides. So we go like drive sort of like on the side around this sign. And I swear to God, we drove on like a drainage ditch. That's what I swear. I don't really think it was a real lake.
Oh, man.
I don't. And so we get out and they put up 2 clam thermal hubs. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I assumed we'd have like hard-sided shacks with guides. But I don't know. I'm rolling with the flow. That's fine. So their augers pooped out on them. And I'm like, well, I have mine along. We're trying. It was like 30 inches of ice, but the ice was like concrete.
Wow.
It was so hard that even my iron, it just was eating the blades up like crazy. So we're only in like 6 feet of water.
And 30 inches of it's ice.
And yeah, literally. So we're catching them. Big perch. And I'm like, this is so fun. I mean, I only caught a couple, but the guy next to me, he must have caught 30. And I'm like, you're literally 2 feet from me. I don't know. Whatever. That's the way it rolls, right? So, we caught a bunch of fish. And then 2 o'clock, I'm like, okay, so I have to make it I'm going to go to Lake of the Woods next. So it's about a 7-hour drive. So I leave at 2 o'clock. Oh my God. I leave at 2 o'clock and the GPS isn't really working that well. So I'm like, okay, there's the highway. I just got to get there. If I could take this road. And then my GPS kicks in and it's like, turn right here, turn left here. And every time it says turn right here, I'm at a crossroads, sort of, because there's the intersection in the middle of a lake. I'm like, I don't think I'm really supposed to turn right here. I don't know about this. This is another drainage, I think. So then I'll take a left. And then it took me almost an hour to get to the actual highway. And finally, and it's just kicking up dust, so you can't see anything. I'm like, this is ridiculous. What do I get myself into all the time? So I drove the 7 hours to Lake of the Woods. Halfway there, I get a call from their guy, and they're like, so here's the deal. We've got a blizzard rolling in, so you have a 50-50 chance of actually being able to go out onto the water.
Wow.
I'm like, well, At this point, I'm like, well, it's only 5-hour drive to Lake of the Woods, or here it's, I don't know, 10 hours to home. I can go and take the chance. I'm sure if I show up, I won't be able to go. But if I go home, then I will be kicking myself because they'll be like, yeah, you could have gone out. So drive up there. In the last 2 hours, I'm like, boy, it's getting awful cold. It's like 0 degrees. And then -2. And I'm like, okay, this isn't too bad. It's not too bad. And -7. And I'm like, oh, it's getting pretty chilly. There's no lights, of course, on these roads. And it's snowing. And I'm like, I can't really see really well. And it's -14 and it's -17. And I'm like, so it's getting really cold. -20. Like within the last 45 minutes, it's like it tops out at -30. I 30 or 32. It doesn't matter, the 2 degrees.
At that point, it
because
doesn't matter.
at that point, literally, I'm like, please God, don't let me break down. I mean, I have all my ice gear. I have 3 propane tanks in my Mr. Heater. I'm pretty sure, and a gallon of water. I'm pretty sure I'll survive for a little while. But that would suck so much if I got stranded on the side of the road and ended up dead in the ditch in -30 degrees.
But it was 77 in your car.
Yeah, I had that cranked because I was like, and I'm like, oh, the last like 15 minutes, my heater belt started making this weird squealy noise, and I'm like, not now, don't do this to me. We just got like 15 minutes to go.
Wow. That's insane.
Oh, it's nuts. I was like...
Did you have cell service?
I did. Ironically, they have really good cell service up there. Okay. Not in the drainage ditches of Webster, South Dakota, but definitely in Baudette, Minnesota.
Wow.
So you arrived.
Up there. Yeah. Arrived at Riverbend Resort, which, by the way, was beautiful. And they put me up in this cabin that slept 6. And I actually have some videos. I made like a day 1 and a day 2 video highlighting everything that I got to post. I'll probably do it this weekend on the Hunt Fish Travel Facebook page. But it was so clean. These, for cabins up north, they were so clean. The food was amazing. And of course, the blizzard hit and we couldn't go out. So that was a bummer. So I just entertained myself for the morning. I did not want to be in their position, though, because you have the people who spend thousands of dollars to come up for the weekend, and then they're told they can't even go out on the ice. They have, rented the sleeper shacks for the weekend. There's nowhere to put them. It was just madness and chaos.
That's insane.
So, yeah, I felt really bad for them because they were really getting hammered by some of the people, but...
Well, that's one thing you can't control is Mother Nature. And she's
right,
gonna do
exactly.
what she
You just got to make the best of it. And their shacks were like 8 miles out. So it's not like there were these guys who were like, oh, I got 4-wheel drive, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Like, have fun trying to get out there.
Right. Have at it and go for it.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
It's like, especially in the winter months in the Midwest, you never know what's going to happen an hour from now. And, like you did. You went up there, you tried it, it just didn't work out.
It didn't.
But you had an experience.
It was still a lot of fun. It makes for a really funny story. I mean, you just got to make the best of it.
It's not funny when it's 30 below, though.
Oh, my God. Like, I was freaking out. And I feel like I'm pretty hardcore, but this was a little much for me, even. I was like, I don't know about this, you guys.
Wow. And you did this all by yourself?
Yeah, I went by myself. So and sometimes I prefer going by myself because at 2:00 I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. Mm-hmm. If you're there with somebody, well, we paid for the guide. I want to stay as long as I can. I'm just like, I'm ready to go.
Right.
So I actually prefer hunting and fishing by myself quite often.
Well, I can understand that.
Yeah.
When you're ready to go, you're ready to go.
Yeah. Came home and fished Wisconsin. So I did the 3 states and the 3, even though I didn't get to fish Minnesota. So next year, I will plan a little better. I will allot for maybe an extra day in there for driving because driving from South Dakota to Minnesota, it was kind of a lot. I was so tired by the time I got there.
Well, it didn't help that, with...
You had a blizzard.
With the blizzard, that takes a lot out of you when you got to concentrate, you got to hang onto the wheel, and that just whole mind-numbing experience, and you're driving it. I'm pretty sure it was at night, right?
It was.
So
with no artificial light. There's no, street lamps or nothing. So
you're basically
barely
like flying in Star Wars and going into warp speed with the snow going by. And that
literally.
Stinks.
Yeah.
So, but, it's one of those things that you've done it, though.
Yeah, I did it. I'll do it again.
Absolutely.
So the sunset picture we had up, what lake was that?
That was Webster, South Dakota.
Okay.
Yeah. It was, I really want to go. I'd really like to go back to Webster again sometime, but I got to get up to Devil's Lake. Some of the guys that I was fishing with actually were from the area, and they gave me a bunch of good DIY spots, so I think next year I'm just going to do that instead of going with a guide service.
Okay. Now, I want to go back to this picture of this intersection on the lake.
legitimately, I would drive for a couple of minutes and it would say, take a right, at the next intersection. And I would stop and I'm like, well, if I take a right, I'm probably going to end up in the drain. So I'm going to go left instead and it will reroute me. And it must have done that 10 times where that's why I'm saying I don't think they're real lakes. I feel like they're drainage ditches that got flooded or.
Okay.
I don't know. It was really weird.
Josh, remember we were talking to, was it Josh or Robert? They were talking about one of the lakes.
Oh yeah.
And it was
road bed.
It was an old road bed that was covered up in the lake. So I bet you're right, Carrie, that some of these places got to the point where it was a road.
It was flooding and erosion.
Sure.
And it washed over and washed it out, and then it just...
Very possible,
They didn't do it because it's like a dirt road.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, yes, exactly. That, like, reddish clay everywhere. Oh, my poor truck was so dirty. I could barely see out of anything. And there were all these little pockets of these little, like, mini lakes all over that I was like, are these farmers' fields maybe that got, it floods? Because, I mean, we have that here in Wisconsin where you'll find carp in ditches sometimes.
Right.
And it's just because, it floods and then the fish get washed in there.
Right.
So...
I bet that's what it is.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Right? You have to go back and see that in the summertime and see what it really looks like.
Right. It's like there's corn growing.
You go through there and you fall through the ice, and you call State Farm. Hey, I want to know if I'm covered for hitting an animal. Yeah, what did you hit? A walleye?
Yeah, right? I hit a sturgeon.
Sturgeon.
Exactly. Now, there was another picture you put up of it looked like an ice shanty that looked pretty comfortable.
Is that the one where I'm like, hi?
You're hanging out, waving, and somebody taking a picture?
Yeah. So that was a really interesting weekend. Again, in another ice fishing group, chatting with a guy who was going to start renting out his personal sleeper shack and up on Poygan Lake, and we rented it for the weekend, and I hosted a couple of my dear friends, like just ladies up there, and that was super fun. And literally only in the upper Midwest will you just like spend the night on the ice in 0-degree weather, and you've got a furnace and a hydraulic bed that lowers for you. Just crazy.
Well, I can
so much fun.
I can tell by looking at it that it's on wheels, and those doors are not just. But you said the lighting looks even good, but it's hydraulic and everything?
Oh my God, this guy spent so much time and money and effort and work on this, and I'm totally stealing his idea. It was just a utility trailer, like a 17-foot angled utility trailer, and he just customized it. He cut the holes in the floor, and he made benches, and then he had it on a rail system, the bed, I think it was electronic, I don't think it was hydraulic actually, where you just flipped switch and it just lowered down. And then you had a king-size bed.
Wow.
And I was like, dude, this is slick. Then he bought a furnace system, like a camper furnace, off of Amazon. And I think it was running on diesel. He had diesel for the furnace and then a generator for the lights. And it was really nice. It was really, really, really nice.
That's awesome. You got a barbecue there. You got your, obviously.
Yeah, I brought up my Weber kettle. I was like, we're going to eat good food. And I mean, Mother Nature had other plans. It was.
Did you catch anything?
Bitterly cold. We did not. We didn't. It was so windy and so cold that nobody was catching anything. I feel like the wind sometimes affect, the water underneath, and
absolutely.
A lot of people were pre-fishing for Battle on Bago, so there was a lot of truck traffic and. I don't know, just a little too much noise, I think.
Well, you got all these travels that you're doing. You went to 3 states in your home state there, and Mark wants to know, how do you stay so driven and motivated? Do you chug energy drinks?
No, I don't. I have no kids. So I've all the energy that I would be spending on children, I just refocus to the outdoors.
No, Mark, this is her in her natural state. You should
literally
really spend time with her, and you'll understand that. Yes, this is her natural state.
All the energy we've expended having children and keeping them corralled and out of trouble, she has
Mine's
used.
Still bubbling over.
She's using on the outdoors,
right? But it's one of those things. But you went out there. Like you said, you took some ladies with you out to. Had they ever been out before?
They had, I think. Well, my girlfriend Crystal, she ice fishes a lot with her kids. Single mom, takes them out. The other two, Dawn and Michelle, I just think they hadn't ice fished in 30 years or something. Like they used to go as kids with their parents and grandparents. So it was fun getting them out. I wish the weather would have been a little better. Tracy, her ex-husband, I think fished a lot, but she didn't get to do a lot of it herself. So it was really cool getting them out there. like I said, I wish we would have had better weather, but that's Mother Nature for you. I mean,
You got to deal with
it was still fun.
Play the cards you're dealt.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, I tell you what, let's take our last break. We'll have about 10 minutes or so coming back. We'll stay on the fishing theme. I want to talk to you about something else here real quick. So step outside, take our next break. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
All right, welcome back. Last segment of the show. We've been talking about fishing. You did your three-state whirlwind, snow-blown, freezing tour. But am I right in saying you've got this big sturgeon tournament coming up here next month, this month?
It was.
Or it's already happened?
2 weeks ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, it's already happened. Okay, I knew it was somewhere February, March-ish, but I couldn't remember. Did you go this year?
I did.
And
for the 10th year in a row, I saw nothing.
You didn't even see any?
No, I've never actually seen a sturgeon. I mean, okay, so for the listeners who aren't familiar with sturgeon spearing, Wisconsin, other than a small lake in Michigan, Wisconsin is the only place where we have a sustainable sturgeon population that you spear. Mm-hmm. It's one of Wisconsin's greatest conservation stories. I will not go into it because it's super long. But if you go to Sturgeon for Tomorrow website, you can learn about how we brought them back from basically zero to a huge population in the Lake Winnebago, which is Wisconsin's largest inland lake. So every year, the weekend of Valentine's Day, I haven't celebrated Valentine's Day in like 2 decades. Like, seriously. Thousands of people get together. They put up their sturgeon shanties on the lake, and from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m., you look down a very boring hole in the water and hope the sturgeon swims by so you can spear it. And the success rate is like 13% every year. It's really low, but it's not really always just about killing a dinosaur. It's because these fish are tens and 50, 100 years old. They're huge fish, and it's more about the celebration, of the conservation effort. It's the party and the camaraderie and the uniqueness of something that you can only hear. And we have bonfires. We have like the Fishing Has No Boundaries group. They always have the glam band, which is like an 80s glam band. And it's so funny. They set up a huge tent out on the lake, and it's a lot of fun, and it's interesting, and it's just something unique and different.
Well, here in Michigan, our sturgeon season lasted 36 minutes.
That's because you only have like 7 tags.
I think it was 6 this year.
Yeah. Oh but sometimes it'll last the whole 3 days.
It sometimes, but it was 36 minutes, I think I read, and that was just a couple of weeks ago. But like you said, it's a celebration of something that you were able to, through the whole process, that you could able to go out and enjoy every year, right?
It is. And you go out there and you see there's literally 10,000 ice shanties out there with people in there hoping to get, to throw their spear at a sturgeon. And everybody is really interesting. Okay, if you go to huntfishtravel.com and search sturgeon spearing, you will see a ton of articles that I've written about the history. I've got photo essays with all the unique sturgeon shacks. I mean, the art that they put on some of these shacks, they're spending big bucks on really interesting things. So it's really cool.
There's a whole thing. Even like the decoys,
Oh, God, yeah.
The old ones and then the ones that people carve and all that kind of stuff.
And some of them, they get to the point, it's like, I don't want to use that in the water. It's too nice looking.
Yeah.
We have 3 of them that will never see actual water. They're gorgeous.
See?
So I'll just use my old coffee cup instead.
There you go. So Tammy wants to know when you're coming to Michigan. We'll have to get you here. That would be fun. And
we talk about Hunt Fish Travel Up North Journal crossover events every year.
Right.
We're like, we should do this, we should do that, and we never do.
And life gets in the way.
Maybe we'll see if we can make something happen later in the year. But so we've talked about your gone out to Vegas, your tour, your sturgeon fishing. What's next on your adventure? You got anything bucket list coming up? Something new? Something exciting? What's going to be on Carrie's list for the rest of the year?
We are taking a vacation to Ireland in June, and so we're going on one of those group tours, which I've never been on before, but we're going a couple of days early so that we can go fishing in Ireland. I have no idea what we're going to catch. I have no idea if we're fly fishing or whatever, but I'm excited to do it.
That's cool.
I think that'll be unique.
Definitely. That's definitely a bucket list item.
Yeah.
How long are you going to be there for?
A week and a half.
Week and a half, okay.
Because we're going 4 extra days. Because I don't travel really well. I need like a day to acclimate. And then we'll have a day to bum around and then fishing. So before the rest of people get there.
Do you know where you're fishing at?
I don't. It's outside of Dublin. Hold on, I'll tell you real quick. There's a little like inlet. It's right out of Dublin because that's where we're going to be staying. So if you look, Black Rock is where we're meeting them. And he says we just bum around the coast and search for fish and fish for whatever bites. And I'm like, I'm in.
There you go. Anything. Everything. That's cool.
So you'll be fishing on the ocean?
Yes.
So you're looking at pollock, coalfish, and what they call Rossi?
Danny's Googling.
I know, right?
Right. Dogfish, mackerel. Yeah, you're going to, it sounds like you're going to be catching a lot of things.
The smorgasbord.
Right.
So what prompted you to go to Ireland? I mean, is there something there that's drawn you there, or is it just a spot you picked?
It's a spot I picked. Several years ago, I had the opportunity to go for a writers' conference, and it just didn't work out for just personal interferences. and it was just a place that I was really excited to go back then. And now we were putting together like a group travel trip. And I thought that Ireland is a place that most people want to go to, so it would really like a friendly trip. Mm-hmm. I mean, who doesn't go to Ireland?
Right,
absolutely.
I mean, Guinness, hi. Hi, my friend.
What's the matter, Dan?
Guinness.
Or Smithwick's or whatever.
Right, exactly. So you're going to do that in June?
Yes.
So you're going to be gone for how long?
Week and a half.
So a little bit after that, maybe people can tune into the Hunt, Fish, Travel and probably get to see some pictures of the fish you catch. And now, do you know if you catch it, you eat it? Or do you know that?
I don't know. Since it's like when you go fishing in like Hawaii or something, you catch something, you'll take it back and the restaurants will cook it up for you.
Right, exactly.
I don't know if Ireland's like that or not.
Okay.
That'd be cool.
So you're going to be doing that. Here's a good question.
And chips.
Right, fish and chips. So what's your next big purchase for your outdoor addiction?
Oh my God, because I spent so much damn money this year on ice fishing gear. Like, I'm broke for the next 2 years.
Well, you were staring at some boats.
Yeah, I know. That's really So, I was never allowed to buy a boat when I was married. And now that I'm divorced, that's literally on my number one list of things to buy.
The bucket list for the outdoor addiction.
Is I want a fishing boat and I want a new fishing boat. I'm a big girl now. I'm old enough to own something with a warranty. And, I don't always have to buy the hand-me-downs anymore. I want something that I can handle by myself, but we can take friends out on and stuff, to have fun with. So I'm looking at the Smoker Crafts. I think it's called the Ultima.
I got tickets here for Outdoor Rama this weekend, Saturday, and they sell boats. We're going.
You could be over here in just a few short hours.
Come on over.
Man,
and well, that's the thing, right? So you're looking at a boat. You want to buy one.
I do. Oh, God, I do. Okay, but the thing that's really holding me back, and I don't know, it's just getting stuck in my craw, that I could finance something and start paying for it at $200 or $250 a month or whatever it is for 20 years, and I won't even receive the boat until August or September because inventory is so low.
I was just about to ask you, are they backlogged?
I just can't pull that trigger. I just can't bring myself to spend that kind of money a month on something that I won't even get to enjoy really until next year.
Actually, I talked to somebody over the weekend. They bought a side-by-side, and it was last September, October they bought it. And literally, it just showed up last week.
Yeah.
It was like one of those things is like...
I just can't. I don't know. I just can't I just can't make myself write that check every month for something I don't even have in my garage.
At the camper show, they literally had signs on them that said, "This one's ready to go today." I mean, it was like, so you kind of had an idea that the one you're looking at,
you can have it.
You can have it.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
So, you know what? I think you get that boat. Go do it.
I know.
That, and you rig it for lights. Go do some bow fishing.
I know, right? So the Ultima, I think it's, and forgive me, I don't know if it's the Ultimate or the Ultima. I'm pretty sure it's the Ultima. So it had this front deck that was really nice, had nice like lounging seats, but the center section folded up so that you had this big standing platform if you wanted to, or it was like the walking path in the middle where you could sit there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I could do so much with this.
Yeah, bow fishing. That's the way to go. I love that. I took Danny out one time.
Yep, and we haven't been back since.
And now you're...
And I sold my boat.
What?
Yeah, he sold his boat.
Yeah.
Well, then
it always works.
Well, there's Yarcraft out there and Skeeter boats that friends of ours have that you'd probably be way interested in, but those are some nice fishing boats. There's no doubt about it. But so a boat. There you go, Mark Coleman. She wants a boat.
That's on the horizon.
A fishing boat.
Right?
Because we bought this little like 1972 tri-hull Lund last year that I don't know what I was thinking. Number one, people were so much smaller in the 70s. Can I just say? I mean, I don't feel like I'm like super fat, but gosh, like
we were kids back then. Everything looked big because we were kids,
right?
Like
this boat was so small. I was like, what were you thinking?
Well, that's the thing, right? You know, mom and dad probably had the 4 kids on there, and everything was good. Yeah. Now we're all growing up. It's like, what were we? What were they thinking?
Literally, yeah, right.
Have you ever been kayaking?
I have not. That is on my list as well.
Well, I'm quite sure you make your way over here towards Michigan, or we meet up somewhere. We were contemplating taking our kayaks to Florida, but we figured that's just way too far.
Yeah, that's a long haul. And you can rent them down there.
Yeah, well, I know we're going to be in Indiana some this year. My daughter and her husband, they're moving down there to Fort Wayne, and there's plenty of rivers right down in that area, so we're going to be down there visiting, and we're taking kayaks, so... Yeah, if
that'll be cool.
You and Aaron ever make your way this way or something, we can.
Or if we meet up
in Michigami,
up at Michigami Reservoir, that's a perfect kayaking fishing lake.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
it's definitely something I want to try.
It's a blast.
It's a blast. It is fun, and like we get out we make fun of whatever we have, and we just enjoy it. And like I said, it's usually July when we're out there, so it's pretty cool. But we'll have to see what you're up to and see if we can't get you up.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're basically up out of time here. But before we go, tell everybody where they can find all of your media. So
huntfishtravel.com is really. Is my real site. You can go to carriezylka.com, but that really just takes you to huntfishtravel.com/about. So, like, it really...
it's kind of like that road sign in the middle of the lake. It takes you roundabout.
Literally, it just... You're like, wait, what happened? What's going on? I'm so confused. Huntfishtravel.com. You'll find everything there, and links to all my other shows, my fiction podcast, my music podcast, everything else, my archery podcast. And all the social media channels are there as well.
Awesome. Well, yeah. I tell you what, I appreciate you coming on tonight.
Absolutely.
Telling us about Shot. And
always good to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. As always, I love, you guys are such good interviewers.
Oh, I don't know. We pick on each other quite a bit over here. So we're some kind of entertainment anyway.
Now, okay, so let's imagine this if we're sitting around a campfire up north.
Oh my God, shenanigans. We will have the best videos.
Right? We'll make TikTok look really good.
Right.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God.
Right.
It's like, what am I getting myself into?
All right, we're gonna wrap this one up before we get into trouble here. So,
yeah. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Hey, not a problem. Glad you could come on tonight and talk with us. Hang on after the show here and we'll chat real quick. But
all right.
For everybody out there that's watching and listening, make sure that you go over to her social media pages and give her a like, follow, share. Do the same for us as well. If you're listening over on iTunes, give us a review and go give Huntfish Travel a review as well, because that helps the people who in turn help us. Next week,
our first Wednesday show, which will be March 2nd.
Yes.
Scott Bass from Easy Cut, the owner of Easy Cut, will be on the show, and he's going to talk about obviously Easy Cut, but he's also going to talk about the the company that he joined up with, and all new things that are coming down the pipe for Easy Cut and Company.
And might even squeeze a hunting story out of him, possibly.
Either we're gonna get 2 stories: a hunting story and an ATA story.
There you go. All right. Yeah.
Can I interject one thing really quick? I just want to say thank you to everybody who put the questions and the feedback. It's pretty rare that I get to have actual interaction with people other than the person that I'm interviewing or, who's interviewing me. So thank you so much. I've really, really enjoyed the interaction and found it very valuable and pretty awesome.
I do.
So
We got some great people who come on and ask some good questions, and yeah, it's a big shout out to them for following us, following the people that we interview, and helping. I mean, they do. They help us out with the show, and
that's right. It wouldn't work as well as it does without them. So we're glad
absolutely
to have
invaluable.
And it's also glad to have a person like you that's so talented, and people want to take photos with you, the celebrity that you are.
Oh my God! Stop it already! It's so ridiculous.
He's got 8x10 glossies though.
Yeah, you do. I know.
He does. True story.
True story. But we will. You know what? We will get with you probably, obviously, towards the end of the year. We'll see what's going on. Find out how that. Her personality is sunshine. Absolutely.
Thanks.
So we'll definitely catch up with you again. So
all right, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care. We'll see y'all again next week. This episode was brought to you by
PSE Archery, Yamaha Outboards, Better the Hunt, Easy Cut, Packer Max, Deer Camp Coffee, Buck Baits, JPO Game Calls, Limwalker Game Calls, Wild Seasoning, Total Peep, Sunrise Archery, Scent Lock, and Scent Blocker.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.